Hey guys, ILene Vick here for Adult Coloring with ILene Vick. And it is Friday, August 19th, 2016. And boy, have I got a surprise for you. What if I were to tell you that there is a really neat way to detail color with eyeshadow to the point that you can get into really small areas, and that it can replace a lot of areas where you would have colored with colored pencil. And also you can use it with colored pencil, the point being that because of the larger palettes of eyeshadow that you can buy, it opens up a whole new range of colors and techniques and ways to color. So one of the things that I'm going to show you is I'm basing it mainly out of Lost Ocean. And the piece that I did with eyeshadow is this one, the squids. Now, there are some areas that are too small to do that with, but this whole area here, this whole area, and this whole area I did with this method that I've worked on and figured out. And I want to show it to you because it'll now give you another tool in your coloring arsenal for your coloring. Another project that I did, and you'll recognize it, this is the fish, the round fish. And I'm going to move you a little bit. If you take a peek right there, you can see those were done neatly with eyeshadow. Look at that. Isn't that neat? And gives you the variance in color. That was done with eyeshadow with pencil highlights, as was that, and that, and that, and that, and that. Isn't that neat? Now, I was just messing around here, so forgive some of the color combinations here, but I really wanted to show you this technique and how well it'll work for you. All right, so let me show you the tools that you're going to need. First of all, of course, you're going to need your eyeshadow. I happen to use the one from BH Cosmetics. I love it. They have different palettes, like they have first edition, second edition, third edition. You're just going to have to look online and see what colors strike you. The first edition that I got here has a really great range of basic colors. So let me put that lid up so that glare doesn't get at you. Yeah, give me a second. There we go. All right. So there's the first grouping. Isn't that neat? And I kept my little plastic thingy. And forgive me my hand. Here is the second grouping. So imagine all these colors now that you will have at your fingertips that you can use in detailed areas, smaller areas. It will, like I said, oh my gosh, it will open up your color selection to the nth degree. All right, so let me put this back together and get that out of the way. The second thing that you will need are cotton balls. Now, I happen to have an abundance of cotton balls. I've got like a huge, actually I've got two huge bags. This is the 400 count of jumbo size, and for some unknown reason to me, I bought it when I actually had another bag, again, jumbo size. So I have an abundance of cotton balls. But anyway, cotton balls, that's what you need. And you can get them small or large. What I would recommend is that you get the large because you can pull them apart into the small size that you need. All right, the next thing that you're going to need, and I'm not going to call out colors yet because I'll discuss that with you when I go to do the actual project. But of course, you're going to need colored pencils, right? Oops, that's my eraser. So you'll need colored pencils. I'll talk about the the colors in a little bit. Right now I'm just giving you your list of stuff that you need. So the way that we have been coloring with pastels, or I'm sorry, with our eye makeup, has been to use Q-tips, right? Get those out. So here are the standard Q-tips, and we've been using those. Got the little, but the problem is that they've got these little fuzzy ends that come apart, right? So that's the problem. One of the things that I had found was to use a makeup applicator, and it's got a flat side on one end, and then it has the pointed end on the other. And this is far better because, of course, it maintains that point. Well, that's all well and good, except these tend to get a little bit expensive, and because you've got to buy one for each color. But I will show you what those are. You can get them at Kmart. They're just called the dual tip applicators, 100% cotton. Okay, so that's what these are. And then the other way that we have been applying eye makeup has been using brush. So we've been using different sizes, and that's fine. I've done it. You've seen my videos with it and the whole bit. But here is a way that I've discovered that's just totally different and really is great for eye makeup application and gives me lots of control. What it is it is a jewelry clasp holder. There's the handle. This is the little clip on the end, the alligator clip. This one I happened to get at Amazon.com, and let me show you. It measures, let me change my light for you there. The whole thing measures tip to tip 7 1/4, and then the handle part measures 5 3/4. So the point is there is lots of space to hold on to. I mean, that's good for me because I have bigger hands. And because it's made of wood, the thing is they just basically jam this alligator clip in the area in the end of it where they, drilled out the end of the wood. So if this clip breaks, I can go ahead and put a new one in there. So you want to get the one with the wood, because if you get plastic, you won't be able to change the tip. So I want to show you this online. It's called the Bracelet Mate Jewelry Helper. The thing was a whole $5.99. In other words, it wasn't very expensive at all. I purchased it. It wasn't expensive at all. And as you can see, it's used to put your jewelry on. And again, it's $5.99. So here's the picture. There's the price. There's the name, Bracelet Mate. Don't buy the more expensive ones, which again happen to be plastic. It's the wood you want, and again the Bracelet Mate for $5.99. Alright, let me get rid of that. So, the question is, how do you use this? Well, glad you asked, and that's exactly what I'm going to show you tonight. So what you're going to do, and I'm going to go ahead and start out with the with a larger drawing when I show you this technique. So for those of you that are following my videos, you'll recognize this particular drawing. It's the Inky Galaxy by Helen Elliston. And you can see that there are a lot of little areas here around here to color. So what I'm going to do is get my makeup palette. Get that. And get rid of that plastic so it doesn't glare at you. Alright. So this is how you're going to use this. You take your cotton ball and you want to pull off a little piece. Now, you'll get used to how much to pull off. It's going to take a little bit for you to just figure out. So it's about that much. And what you want to do, and you may have to dampen your fingers on your tongue, is roll it. Okay? And then what you want to do is turn it in half, okay? And then if you have a little loose end like this, okay, tuck that loose end in. And trust me, this, you know, once you start doing it, it'll take you 2 seconds to do each one. And then you take your clip and you put your cotton wad or little ball inside. Now, I'm going to come up real close. You can see then that there's just a tiny little bit of cotton on there that I'm going to kind of squeeze into a point. Now, if you want, you can dampen that a little bit with your tongue. Some people like to dip it in water, but see, I've got just a little bit of the cotton sticking out the end of the clip. Okay? So, what I'm going to do now is choose a color, which will be, let's see, let's do my blue here. And you don't have to press very hard at all. And then take your pencil, which is, it's turned into a pencil basically, and just start coloring. Now, the really neat thing here that I want you to notice, and I will zoom in for you. And this is what I really want you to see, because this is the totally new, neat, unique part of this, is look at the precise control that I have in doing that coloring. Look at that. Absolutely fantastic. Now, I'm just dabbing on my eyeshadow. Little dab, little rub. And look how beautifully it allows me to color in this area. And the really neat thing too, and I particularly like it because of the helmet, you can see how soft this looks, and it has a little bit of the white coming through. So it gives the helmet a three-dimensional, soft, kind of like a bowling ball. You know those bowling balls that looked like marshmallowy? That's what this does. But the main thing that I want you to see is how accurately I can color around other items on the page. Look at that. Is that not cool? Now, the tip of this has gotten flat, all right? See how flat that is? So what that means now is I've got an edge to work with of this cotton. See that sharp edge now that I have? It looks like a little pancake, and now I've got that edge. So if I want to get into a small area, I tilt my holder so that I'm just coloring with the edge. And see, that gives me my precise control around whatever object that I want to color. And if I run out, I just dab back on my eyeshadow. Now, be careful rubbing it back in, because you don't want to accidentally rub it on a white space. But just pull that in just a little bit. Is that not neat? And then, of course, you take your brush and brush it off. Now, The final part of this, depending on what effect that you want, is that you now take your blending pencil and you can use it to smooth out and add whatever effect now that you want to affect, or what add the effect that you want to show. Look at that. And the neat thing is eyeshadow works really well with blending. At least the stuff from BH Cosmetics does. I love it. There's just so much you can do with it. All right. So let me show you the close-up of this. Look at that. Virtually flawless. Really nothing outside of the line. Now, I did hit the end of that little camera. So you just take your eraser, erase that off, and then just reblend. Is that not fantastic? Now I've got a little blue on the outside here, so I'm just going to get rid of that. That was just my hand doing that. Alright, so let me pull back. Alright, so now I've got this little area that I want to do. Here's the other nifty thing about this technique, and I love it. Love it, love it, love it. I'm going to pull out my cotton piece. Okay, so there it is. I'm going to turn it over. And again, if you just need to compress it a little bit with a little moisture from your tongue, fine. And I'm going to reinsert it back into my clip with just a little bit of the end showing. See how I did that? Okay, now I've got a little bit of loose fiber, so I just tipped my hand in a little bit of water, just enough to close that down. So there we go. I've got a precise tip again that I can use. And if that's too much cotton, I can pull it back even further for more fine detail. All right, so look at that. See, I've just got just a little bit of cotton sticking out there. And now what I'm going to do is I'll pick a totally different color so you can see how this works. Lift you up here. And tilt you up a little. I'm going to go ahead and get a little orange. Don't need a lot. And I'm going to zoom you in momentarily. There you go. Now, I want you to watch how precisely I can hit that orange. Look at that. And if I want to have a finer point yet, I'm going to go ahead and just touch that with a little bit of water, just so I can keep my fuzzies under control. And let me retouch my orange. Look at that. Look how precisely I'm popping into that orange area. Now remember, guys, this is a cotton ball. Look at that. Check that out. Is that not fantastic? Now, if you want to touch up your orange a little bit, if you feel that you missed a spot, fine. Okay, and then what I'm going to do after cleaning it off is I'm going to take my blender pencil and very gently fill in any of the areas that I feel I may have missed. Now, if you've used water, be sure to let that completely dry before you brush, because you don't want to have it chew up the paper. Now, this is copy paper. It is not the actual book, so it may have a little bit of difficulty with this, but when we get to doing the actual book, you'll see how well it handles the moisture and the color. But look how accurately I can hit those edges. I mean, again, I've got a cotton ball in here, guys. Look at that. Is that not cool? And again, I'm just using the edges of my tip. See? Yeah. And then hit it with my blender pencil. Clean it off. And I'll tell you, once you start doing this, it'll go like a breeze. Now, I did get a little bit out here, so I'm just going to touch that up. No different than doing that with your pencil. Okay, so here's the other neat thing. So now I've got my orange and my blue on my helmet. So here's where your colored pencil comes in. So I'm going to use my blue, and I'll tell you what it is. I mean, it doesn't really matter because I'm not really doing a color through here. It's Faber-Castell 144 cobalt blue greenish. And now I'm going to add a little bit of blue right there just to create a depth. And then, let's say I had another color on that white area, then I'm going to grab an orange. In this case, it is, let's see, my 113, okay, orange glaze. And I'm going to hit the area right here. Okay, and I'm even going to color up here a little bit, just to add a little interest to it in 3-dimension. So this is where your pencil and your eyeshadow come in. Is that not neat? Look at that. Can you imagine an entire project now done with this? Oh, it's just fascinating. So I really wanted to show you this. Let me continue along. And while I'm doing that, I'm going to show you some of my other tips. These are my other cotton balls that I had made on previous projects. So just to show you the relative size of what you want to make. You'll figure it out after a while. See? For example, that one right there. Okay? You can see the blue and the green. So you've got double tips going on here, and that makes it really economical. Alright, so I'm going to pop out the one I've used. That's going to go to the cotton ball graveyard in the sky. And what I've done, which you can do, is I've made up some of these in advance. So I've got all these little cotton pointers ready to go. So as I'm coloring, I can just do a quick switch in out. All right? Okay, so I've loaded up my clip again. Okay? Got a nice little tip going on there. Okay? And I'm going to pull you out. And let me get purple this time. And I'm not pressing hard at all. I'm just very gently getting my color. Alright. Pull you back in. And see, as I'm mushing, that cotton ball is mushing down. See how it's gotten flat? Okay, you'll see that it'll start to get flat. That's then when you can start using your edges to get into the detail. So I'm using the flat part. Now, look at that. See how that's flat? Look at that. It's like I cut it off right there. Now I'm going to use the edge of my cotton ball to finish that narrow section. And if it's causing a little problem with you, I'm just going to push it back into the clip. I'm pushing it into the clip a little more now, even. So I've just barely got a tip of cotton sticking out there. I'm going to get my purple again, and now I'm going to finish off my spot. There you go. So while you are coloring, you can adjust how far in and out your cotton is in your holder as the area dictates it. All right? So let me brush that off. As you can see, very, very little bleed of the color there. So I'm just going to catch that tiny, tiny bit. And I'm also going to use my blender pencil and catch the areas that I may have missed. Okay? And now, if I want to, this is where your colored pencils again come in. I'm not going to bother telling you what this one is because, again, this is not a project. Is I can go ahead and outline with my pencil if I want to create whatever effect I want, or I can just go ahead and leave the eyeshadow the way it is depending on how I want this little puppy to look. Alright, so let me see something here. I know this isn't a real project, but this is bugging me. See how I've got that dark line here? I want that to just gently fade in. And that was bugging me, so I had to fix it. Yeah. See how nifty that looks? And again, when you start using this method, and because you now have accurate control of your cotton ball that you're coloring with your eye makeup, there are a ton of things that you can now do. It just opens the world of coloring to you. Alright, so I'm going to take my cotton ball, which is mushed right now, and I'm going to switch ends. See? And there we go. I've just got enough sticking out. Now don't worry about this part being fuzzy here. You don't care about that. You care about the end. So as long as your end is intact and not fuzzy, see? So sides are fuzzy, the end is not fuzzy. Okay, so now I'm going to do this next segment. I'm not going to bother to show you my eye makeup. I'm just going to get a really different contrasting color here. Alright, so we're ready. And if you think that you have a little too much eye makeup on your tip, just blow it off. Okay, so here we go. And if you notice, I started my coloring kind of in the middle here because that gives me a feel for where the cotton's going to go. But look how well I'm able to stay inside of my color lines. Now I've mushed down here, so now I'm going to turn this on its side, and I'm going to do the rest. There you go. Take your eraser, hit anything that came out a little bit, boom. Now you might say, hey, why not just go ahead and use my pencils? Well, that's fine, and you can, but as we all know, there's a lot more, or more and different colors in the eyeshadow. And that's where I'm saying that this opens up the world of coloring to you, because now all of a sudden we've got, you know, different shades we can use. Okay, now I'm just going to tap it with the pencil a little bit. Just to add some coloring here. I'm going to add some dark to give me a dimensional effect. And then as I'm coming out, lighten up, of course. And hit that with my blender pencil. And you're good to go. And you don't even need to do a lot with your blender. Look at that. Isn't that neat? And when you clean it off with your brush, it gets rid of all that extra stuff that's on a little powder that's around the outside that may make it look like that you were messy and did it wrong. No. Once you brush it, you're going to see your edges. Now again, you can hit it with your eraser a little bit, and as you get better and better, you will not have to do this. It's just becomes second nature to you. Okay? Let me pull out. Is that not cool or what? Alright, so one more area. I'm going to pop out my little tip. It goes to the cotton ball graveyard. And new tip into my clipper. See? And let's see. Again, start on your widest area so you can start seeing where your cotton's going to hit. And then just narrow it down. And once your tip gets flat, just turn it on its side. Go ahead and get the rest of that color in there. And if you want a little more blue, darker blue, just hit it again. Now I'm deliberately just streaking it down the middle. And see, that's another effect you can do if you like, is have it darker down the middle, lighter on the side. Hit it with my brush. Now, even before I erase, I want to show you how accurate that coloring was with that cotton ball. There is very, very little eye makeup outside of the lines. Is that not neat? That's what's so fantastic about this method, guys. So I got a little here and just a touch there. Okay. And since I have one more side on my cotton ball, I'm going to go ahead and pull that out and put it back in again. And remember, you can leave as much cotton ball sticking out as you want. So I've left quite a bit this time. Okay, again, don't worry about the sides with the teeth. You want to be concerned with your end, and I left a pretty big end on there. Let's see. Let me hit that with, I've got a gray here, a shiny gray. Okay, so now I'm going to experiment to just get the feel for what my cotton ball is going to do. Da, da, dum, dum, da, da. Now I'm using the edge of my cotton ball to get into that little narrow area. So again, you get it squished flat first in your main area, and then use your edges to get your small area. Now, having said that, if you have small areas to start with, then what you do is you get a scrap piece of paper and you squish down your cotton ball with your color on it to get it to the shape that you need to get into small areas. Look how cool that is. Then I'm going to take my blender pencil. I'm going to hit that just a little bit. I mean, hardly have to. And then I'm going to take my eraser because I'm a little bit out here. Just a touch. Now, again, remember on that next, on that blue area, let me point it with a pencil. I left that dark for a reason, all right? So that's another point that I want to dawn on you. I did that with my cotton ball. Oops, not a pencil. That's how much control that I had over this, that I could darken down the middle and have it light on the outside. And again, that is the uniqueness of this way of doing this, is you have a lot of control using this clip and the teeny tiny cotton ball. Now, if I hadn't have been messing around with it and pointing to make a point, I wouldn't have gotten outside of the line. But you see that effect that I was able to create? That's what's so neat about this. Oh, I'm just so excited about showing you this. So, let me pull out, turn it. What do you think? You like that? And really, it is so neat that I don't think that anybody's really going to realize that you really did it with eyeshadow. That's how neat this is. Okay, so let me pull out. Give you a second to look at that. So what do you think of that? I think it's a fantastic method. And then what you can do, and I'm just going to pick any color now. You can see that there are these little dots of the helmet. Obviously, I can't do that using this technique. They're just too tiny. So, of course, what you would do is take your colored pencil with your comparable colors and add your little tips and embellishments on the piece. But here's the point. Because you're using this method with the eyeshadow, you have now regulated your pencils to detail. You can use the bigger area with the eyeshadow, even these smaller areas, and wait until you see the next small area I'm going to show you. And then you would use your pencil for the detail and filling that in. One thing I want to show you real quick too, before I move on to the smaller detail, I want to show you coloring flesh, because I did that the other night with this and it turned out really well. So before I go, I want to show you how I did her face. Alright, so what I've done now is I've gotten my first tray back up of my eyeshadow, and I'm going to get a very, very pale, a very, very pale flesh color, which will be probably this little guy here. So let me pull you back. The other thing I want you to do when you're using eyeshadow and you have your little cotton pieces loaded up, excuse me for reaching in front of you, loaded up in your clipper, your alligator clip, is if you're not sure of a color and how the eyeshadow is going to look, test it on paper. And I know that that sounds pretty basic, but sometimes you forget, because remember, now you're dealing with a whole new palette of color. You're already used to your pencils, how they're gonna work. But now that you're starting to use your eyeshadow palettes more, you need to, in effect, get used to how they're going to function. Okay, so again, I've got my little cotton wad in there. I'm going to get my peach, very light color. I'm going to check that though first before I do this. Oh yeah, that's a good color. Alright, so I'm going to get my peach. Now, watch. And again, showing you the detail, I'm not going to go over the eyeball, right? I'm going around the eyeball. Let me pull you in so you can watch. I want you to see this firsthand, because I want you to see exactly how detailed I'm getting. Look at that. I'm not even hitting the eyeball with this. Now look at that small area between the lash and the front of the face. Yep, look. Got right in there, didn't I? Left the eyebrow alone. Okay, I'm going to reload my color a little bit. Now, I don't know if I can hit that little area up there. Okay, I'm up to a challenge. I'll see if I can just hit. Oh, yeah. Look at that. Look at that. Isn't that amazing? I'm telling you, it is phenomenal, the control that you have using this method that I'm teaching you. And guys, I'm getting right up to the edge there. Look at that. You're not really seeing any white on those edges. That's how accurate this is. Now, have I gone over once in a while? Of course. It happens. But I think that you are seeing how phenomenally accurate you can be using this method I'm showing you. It is amazing. Watch how I get inside this hair piece right here. Once you get used to how your cotton operates, it is phenomenal, the areas that you can get into. Look at that. Now, I want that as smooth as possible so that I don't, or blotchless as possible. Let me get rid of that little chunk of powder here. So now I'm going for uniformity of color. But you got to tell me how impressed you are that I'm getting in and around these little tight areas without hitting them. Alright, so now I want to get my blender pencil, which I keep losing for some reason. You ever do that, that you're doing coloring and stuff and you put something down and then you like lose it? And then you finally find it, so that's good. Alright, so, okay, so now I'm going to take my blender pencil. I'm going to smooth out these areas, which honestly do not need a lot of smoothing because I was able to do that with my cotton ball. Now tell me you were impressed when I hit that little teeny tiny area without getting anything on there, on the curl. Yeah. Look how neat that is. And I mean neat by cool, not neat by neat, but it is neat. Ironically, where I had the bigger area, I got on my curl. But anyway, so I'm taking my eraser, right? And I'm just hitting where I missed it. And if I erased a little too much, of course, that's, you know, you pop back in with your blender pencil. Okay, now I'm going to pull out. So look at that. That whole area was colored with makeup and not pencil. And the other neat thing is that because I used the eyeshadow, the eye makeup, I should just say eyeshadow, it is smoother than what you probably could have done with your pencil. I mean, that is coming out smooth. Just beautiful. All right, so just for giggles and laughs also, because I still want to show you one more area that I would do this on, because it's smaller and I want to show you the teeny tiny areas, although I think I've impressed you with how I've gotten into small areas already. I'm going to take a very, very, very light blue, okay, and I want to emulate glass because we've got helmets, and I'm going to take my light blue and I'm just going to go like this. Look at that. Isn't that neat? And that's hard to accomplish with a pencil. Let me pull way in so you can see. It is just a dusting of color to make that dome look really cool. Let me pull out. Look at the effect. And I'm going to do it on here. Now, don't worry about all that. See that darker blue? That's just residual powder. And see, because I put the blue on at the top, there's less blue for me to do on the bottom, so that's okay. That's where I got to scrub a little bit, and that's fine. So you just got to be careful where you initially hit with your eyeshadow. So look at that. Let me zoom in so you can see that. And I hope right now that your mind is popping with ideas while I'm showing you this. So I really want you to grasp the fact that all these areas on that helmet were done with eyeshadow and not pencil. And I also want you to grasp the fact, as you saw, because I did this real time, there was very, very little messing outside of the lines. Okay? All right, so now what I'm going to do is switch over to a piece that should look very familiar to you because I'm working on that project as well. And that is, I circle a fish. And I did show you earlier in the video these ones that I've already did because I wanted to show you the beginning. And let's see, pull that clip off. And again, you can now see how it's going to look when I go ahead and do the jellyfish. And now you're starting to see exactly how I did it and how I was able to get my tones of colors and how I got the really neat smoothness. All right, so now let's take a look at the fish and see how we can do some really neat detailed coloring on them. So I'm going to remove this because right now I really don't want to show you color per se. I just want to show you technique. Let me turn this upside down because on this copy it was cut off a little bit. And let's get that light not being so glary. And let me pull in. Let's start with this guy here. Alright, so you can see that we've got some small areas. We've got this area, this overall area, and the fin tails. So let's go ahead and get some colors. I've got one more wad of cotton before I need to make any new ones. And again, this is the value to making them in advance because it doesn't interrupt your flow of creativity. Okay, so I'm going to dip into one of my, green eyeshadows. And again, when you do this, do it very lightly because you don't want to smush your tip. And here we go. Now, this tip is a little more smushy than I want. Look at that. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to adjust it backwards into my clip a little bit. Okay, I just pushed it into my clip. Here we go. And now I've got my areas that I'm coloring. And if you have a piece of cotton that's sticking off of your little cotton tip, just take a pair of scissors or just pull it out with your fingers. But just like your pencils, you will get a really neat feel for where your cotton ball is and what the tip is and how it's functioning. It's amazing because I just got to the point I didn't even have to think about it, which is really happening right now while I'm talking to you. Okay? Now, notice how I've got some loose eyeshadow around the outside borders. No big deal. Alright. Now I'm going to pull my cotton tip out just a little bit. Actually, what I'm going to do is switch it now to the other side. And I'm going to get a darker green. Let me brush this off. Look how clean that looks. Now I'm going to get a darker green. Just a teeny tiny bit. See, just a little bit on the tip of that cotton. And I'm going to go ahead and shade, and I'm hardly pressing right now. The tops and bottoms of my fish. And again, look how precise that I'm able to be with it. Oh, I'm just so excited about this technique, and I'm excited for you about it. There you go. All right, now I've run out of little cotton pieces, so I'm going to show you again how to make it. So here's your cotton ball. Let me pull out. Here's your cotton ball. I'm going to pull off a wad of it, not that much. Okay. Alright. And then I'm just going to roll it. And again, sometimes I dampen my fingers. It just makes it easier to roll. And I'm just going to keep rolling it and rolling it and rolling it. And then I'm going to flatten it out. Now that's a slightly different way this time that I rolled the cotton. The other way, remember I told you to roll it and kind of fold the ends in? This way, which I think you're going to find to be a little bit better, but I wanted to show you both ways. This way, you just keep rolling it and rolling it and rolling it, and then as it starts to elongate, you turn it and roll it again the other way to push the cotton together. So in other words, just keep rolling it and rolling it, almost, oh, I hate to say this, almost like you would a booger. I am so sorry. Ugh. But, you know, just keep rolling it until it feels that you've gotten a solid piece, and then just get it to the point where you want it. You want a little point on that, fine. If you want it duller, fine. This time I made a little point. All right, so sorry about that other reference. So let me get a darker green this time. And I'm going to color in here. Now, my point's feeling pretty mushy, so remember what I told you. You can pull your cotton back into your clip to strengthen that tip. So that's exactly what I did, is I pulled it back, so now I've even got less of that cotton. I didn't like how mushy that was feeling. Yeah, that's better, because now I've got more control. And look at that, see? Same thing, you're going to get little powder residue on the outside, so it's going to make it look like you've got a heck of a mess. You don't. You brush it away, and any areas that you went outside with, just hit it with your eraser. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my blender pencil after I've cleaned the tip. And that's really going to neaten this up. See, using eyeshadow is a whole different look. It's just so smooth. It's kind of hard to get it with a colored pencil, but boy, you get it with this eyeshadow and it's just a softness. You know, it's just really neat. All right. Now, I'm going to use a contrasting color just for the sake of using a contrasting color. I want a preciseness, so I've got a real little tiny bit of my cotton sticking out. Again, with my tip, I'm going to go with a bright pink. And that, again, is strictly just to show you the contrast and the ability to color into these areas. I'm using the tips of my fingers and a little moistening from my tongue to sharpen that tip and round it, you know, well, to manipulate it to the point that I can get into these small areas, because this is a smaller area here. Okay, so for the most part I was able to miss the eye. I'll hit the outside where I got my pink. And I'll go ahead and use my blender pencil. And then on my eye, which I usually like to make the black, I will go ahead and use my Jelly Roll gel pens and get my center eye. Cool. Now, if you want to enhance that pink a little bit, now remember that black is still wet. Now you can just come in with your pencil and just hit it just a little bit on the edges, up to you. Now, I didn't have to, but it gives a really nice depth. Now, obviously, I can't do that little tiny narrow line there with the on the gills. So for that, I would either use a highly sharpened pencil or maybe a glitter gel pen. Oh, that looks neat. And then I'm going to grab, actually, a glitter gel pen in green. And I'm going to glitter up. The dots. Remember that you're using gel pen on eye makeup, so your gel pen may clog a little bit and not color properly. So just get on some white paper and color a little bit, and that, you know, cleans off the tips. Look how neat that looks. And remember how I had added my shading with the eye makeup? And that's enough of that, because you get the idea. So let me pull out. Okay, I'm going to use gel pen on this line here. I'm going to make another little tip with my cotton ball. Again, roll it in your fingers in one direction and then roll it in your fingers in another direction. Now again, you can fold it over like I told you earlier, but I favor this one. Up to you. Whatever works for you, do it. Alright, so I'm going to dip into some blue eyeshadow. And as you can see, I've got great control over this. I'm hardly getting any little color out on the outside. Okay. And wherever you have any, which there is a little bit right there, hit it with your eraser. And if you need to hit it with your blender, up to you. I like the variance actually in the way the eyeshadow goes down, especially on fish. It just gives it a really neat effect. There you go. Let me go in. Okay? So you can see how that was done. So I've got a really good looking fish here. Now what I'm going to do is pull out here, and I'm going to color one of these inner smaller fish. I've made up several little of my coloring tips. My cotton coloring tips. Again, I've got several of them ready to go, so I don't have to keep making them while I'm trying to do this with you and show you. Let's see here. So I'm going to grab probably my purple. Remember, touch lightly when you're applying your color. You'll get a feel for it. Okay, so I've started with my purple, and you'll get a really nice feel for this. And the main thing that I want you to see is that even in a smaller area, although I already proved this to you on the astronaut's face, when I went around the eyebrows and the nose and the mouth and so forth, is that you can be extremely accurate with your coloring. Look at that. Take my blender pencil. And there are so many variations that you can do when you're doing this coloring with the eye makeup. Because right now I'm going to dip again in my purple. Let's see here. Actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go with a dark gray. And I'm going to put a streak down the center. Yeah, I'm going to show off. Look at that. I'm using, let me get you in camera here. Again, my cotton ball by this time is pretty flat. So now I'm able to use the edge to get that. And that, folks, is how accurately now, using this method I'm showing you again, that you can do this. I'm going to hit it with my brush. I'm not really even going to touch that gray with my blender pencil. I'm just going to stay on the outside here. Okay, now I'm going to switch the tip on my cotton. Because again, when you have one ball, you can do two colors. And I want to do that tail. Now, this tail is going to be a little touchy. We'll see if I can do that neatly. You know, and if not, that's where you switch to your pencils. That's fine. Look at that. Don't intimidate yourself with this and, you know, get upset if you can't do it. Use your pencils. But you know what? I'm comfortable enough with the technique, because I've been doing this for a while now, that I want to go ahead and do that. Now watch. A lot of the mess goes away. And whatever's still there, I just hit it with my eraser. We're good to go. See? And I'm going to take my blender pencil, which again, remember, I'm cleaning out in between. And I'm going to push the remainder of that red into the teeny tiny areas. Alright. There you go. Now on camera, it's showing up as a little red off the end of the tail because I'm into a really close view. So I could only really see it when I look through the viewfinder. But when I pull out, yeah, see? It's looking really good. And that's really where I end up getting a little picky, because I see these little details in the camera, so I always want to fix them. Alright. So now let's do the head, and I hope now, again, that you are seeing that you can, you know, do this detail with eyeshadow, because that's the whole point of this video. Oh gosh, I hope you're as excited as I am about this. I really do. Alright, so let me put in a new cotton tip that I pre-made. I'm elongating it a little bit, my ball, to, you know, get that point I want. I want to go ahead and do the fins. And again, if you think that you have too much makeup on your tip, go ahead and brush it off on a scrap piece of paper. Now I have little chunks of this eyeshadow falling on my work. I don't care because I know it's where it's going. And the chunk pieces that fall where I want to color, I'm just dabbing them in. And if the chunk pieces are falling where I don't want it, I'm just leaving it. But look how beautifully that went on there. Now I'm going to get the other side. Don't be afraid to rotate your clip. Quick sharp hit with your brush. Now I've got a little bit of that blue into my purple area, no biggie. Blend it out. Just fix it. Clean off your pencil. Blend your fins however you want to do it. Now, obviously, I couldn't do those little teeny tiny areas. I'm good, but I'm not that good. So I'm going to take a blue glitter pen and I'm going to go ahead and hit my little spines with the glitter pen. To finish that off. Now, I know the choice of colors on this piece doesn't exactly look appealing, but remember, I'm using different colors to show you the different ways that I'm applying this makeup. Now, I noticed on that purple that I've got a little more white than I wanted, so I'm just following up with a little bit of a purple pencil just to hit those edges. There we go. Alright, so now I've got the face, and since I've done the tail with the small tail with the this method, I'm just going to go ahead and do the face with glitter pen. So I'm going to go ahead and hit this with orange glitter. I've got an orange metallic that I'm going to use on the bottom just to get a little contrast here. There we go. And then I'm going to use my black jelly roll. Make sure it works properly. Just go ahead and get your eye there. Got that. And at this point, if you have anything that you need to clean up a little bit, you know, just go ahead and take your blending pencil and do that. And let me pull out now. And again, I know the color selections here aren't the best, but this is just for illustrative purposes. I wanted to have distinctly different colors so that you could see how well this method works. Now, close up, and again, this is just ILene being picky. I can see I've got a gap with my purple, so I'm just going to hit that just a little bit. Get rid of that. There you go. Pull that eyeshadow towards that gap. Okay? Again, the eyeshadow is very forgiving. It blends beautifully. Alright, let me pull out. You can look at the two fish that I did. Again, all eyeshadow except for those few places on the second fish where I went ahead and did the highlights. Isn't that neat? So I'm at 1 hour 24 right now, thereabouts. Took me a little bit longer, but I really wanted to explain this method that I'm so excited about. And what I'm going to do next now, as I promised, is I'm going to go ahead and, out of Lost Ocean, I'm going to go ahead and do the whole jellyfish using the makeup technique, the eyeshadow, with some pencil. So that way you get to see a fully completed piece and how that's going to look. Alright, please, if you like this, like my video, please post it on your timeline. This is a brand new technique I think a lot of people are going to be excited about. I'm excited to share it. Please share it. Have lots of people look at it, enjoy it. Please subscribe. God bless you. Again, I will be doing an upcoming video on doing this whole thing. And I really do appreciate you spending time with me. Alright guys, happy adult coloring with me, ILene Vick. Bye.